Let's do it. Another edition of The Script, the podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. My name is Dave Holmes. His real name is Cardale Jones. His nickname is Beanie Wells. We got a lot to talk about today. Some controversial comments we're going to dissect from various analysts, and maybe our analysts are going to get controversial here as well. All right, no controversy at Purdue. 34-10 win. The Buckeyes continue to sleepwalk through this 9-0 season. Initial reactions to how they looked in West Lafayette.
I thought they looked good. I thought they looked really good. They did obviously get out to a slower start than I anticipated. I wanted to see them, come out humming out the gate. Obviously, us getting that 75-yard run call back had something to do with that.
Yes.
But nonetheless, Ohio State is Ohio State. They're the best team in the country. They go out and play like it. They look like it down the stretch. I'm just trying to dissect and split hairs, trying to figure out an area of improvement that I want to see. And I really just don't see any holes with this football team. I guess I could say the run game. I mean, I could love to see that be a lot more consistent. But overall, I think we did what we were supposed to do. And one of the things, too, I'm really starting to take notice, and I don't know if you guys have been. Ryan Day has been calling the dogs off of teams a little bit early. And you can tell by the score, but then you can tell by the style of play towards the end of these games. He's not one to go out and embarrass him. And sometimes, just as a fan, not as a football person, I want to see people get embarrassed. I want to see people slapped in the face and walk away crying. And, obviously we have the ability to do that, but kudos to Ryan Day for having a heart.
Well, he's jumped in on his news conference and said that, style points don't matter like they used to as much. We got the king of style points against Wisconsin in the Big Ten title game when you guys knew you had to hang 50-something on them.
Yeah, as a coaching staff, I'm pretty sure that was an emphasis as a player. You want to score, you want to play, you want to dominate from snap 1 to snap 99. And you look at what Ryan Day has been doing in the last couple of weeks, I think it's more so preserving the guys that you're going to need for this long haul of a season that you're going to get ready and kick off here in about another 2 weeks. And then the top teams that you're going to face, unfortunately, come at the end of the season. So I want my guys fresher, looser, ready to go, and amped up, ready to play a full game of football. Potentially, you're not probably going to get that until you go up to Ann Arbor, then include the Big Ten championship game. And then I want my guys playing their best, and I want them to be as healthy as possible when I go on the playoff run.
What's that crazy stat that they got out there that Ohio State's pace of play is so much slower, which is in turn allowing them to be fresher down the stretch? Is it like they're 2 games or something like that behind in terms of plays?
It is. They're not going up tempo. And Ryan talked about that last year throughout the season. He said, we made a conscious effort to slow the roll, slow the pace, because we knew rather than 12 or 13, we might have to go 15 or 16 deep. And you can tell they're not going as quick as they have in the past.
Yeah, which is great. I think, it gives you an opportunity to really dissect things. It's not like feeling like it's in a rush, and then, give you as a quarterback an opportunity to see the whole picture versus taking half-field reads or just, hey, there's one guy here, just get the ball out in RPO games. But it also allows you, like you said, to stay fresher and stay longer as well. So.
The biggest story in this game is who didn't play, and that was Carnell Tate. He was not on the injury report all week. They give us an injury report on Friday that we're not allowed to report. I had no clue the guy was even questionable. He wasn't listed questionable. Then on the game day, something happens in the warmups. Ryan Day said afterwards, he felt something in pregame. We decided to be precautionary. Have you guys ever had a situation where you think you're fully healthy and then all of a sudden something happens during that stretch?
Yeah, just yesterday I got up in the morning, I thought I was fine. I stepped down and I hurt my foot. My feet hurt.
Not old Beanie. I'm talking Beanie in his prime. I know everything hurts on us. Cardale's still fairly young.
No question. There's been those days to where you get up, you get going, and obviously we're all banged up, especially at the midpoint in the football season. But then something just tweaks. You move a certain way, and now all of a sudden you got a serious injury. And it could be literally from the way you slept and the way you got up and stretched that day. But because your body is compensating in different areas, you all of a sudden start feeling something a little bit more, and that is going to kind of hinder you from going out and being your best self when you're playing. So I've had that happen before.
Me, fortunately, no. I've never been hurt enough to
this lucky son of a gun.
Yeah, exactly. I've never been injured.
I've been hurt. I've never been injured enough to keep me away from a practice or a game.
That's so crazy.
I go back to 2014, and there's a wild, crazy story behind it. We was having walkthrough practice, getting ready to go up to East Lansing to play Michigan State the year before. They just beat us in the Big Ten championship game. And it was walkthrough practice. Clearly, the only thing you're going to do on a Thursday practice is not a starter. You're going to do walkthroughs, and everything else is not for you. So I didn't take my ankles. So we practiced the jump pass and walkthroughs, and I come down on the center's foot because he didn't go out and run block, right? Or he didn't go down the field just enough. And I sprained my ankle. worst ankle sprain I ever had in my life. It was a high ankle sprain. And it was just rumors floating around the quarterback room that Cardale don't tape his ankles on Thursdays. So as I'm getting up kind of limping, I hear Tom Herman, a quarterback coach, at time like, tell me you taped your ankles. Tell me you taped your ankles. But I'm ignoring them and I'm looking for the sideline for the next play. And I get ready to get set in my stands. And I say, no. So I'm like, I know he about to go. He blew that whistle and stopped my last play and my little my reps I was going to get. And he M&F me to death.
Really?
And the worst part, I'm limping. I finally get on the trainer's table outside at the facility, and they trying to take my ankle. And Mike Sip goes, "Oh boy,
the big old ankle."
This big. And we fly to East Lansing the next day, and I'm just like, this might be the worst thing that can ever happen to me. Yeah, but no, I never had an injury that hindered me from a practice, even though that was a lingering thing that we went through for the next 6 to 8 weeks that I had to deal with some little treatment. But far as that situation with Carnell Tate, no. But another story within that game, we saw so many more players play in that game. Mm-hmm. And I think at this point in the season, you're trying to develop your depth for that long haul.
Yeah, even early, he was rotating Arvell Reese out a little bit. He still played most of the snaps, but you could tell Ryan was going easy on Purdue. I think we'll see some similar stuff against UCLA. Julian Sayin, 27 of 33 in this game. Again, I believe that's 81%, which is basically his season average. You know, we're going to talk about Fernando Mendoza later in the show and the way they were tested, but I keep hearing that Julian Sayin doesn't have a Heisman moment. It's not really his fault if you beat everyone by 20 or 30 points. So I want to know, do you guys think we need a romantic moment where Julian Sayin makes everyone say, oh, that was the Heisman right there?
Well, you know what? This sounds so creepy.
No, go ahead and say it. We'll clip just that part out of context.
Oh, man, I had a dream about him last night having a Heisman moment.
Did you?
Like literally having a Heisman moment. Some way, somehow they was playing Oregon in the Big Ten championship game. And like he made a spin out to the left as a run and dove into the end zone for like 20 yards. I'm like, oh, that was his moment because he got up and did the Heisman. And like talking about our script, yesterday, I'm like, what will be his Heisman moment? And we all said, kind of came to the conclusion that it would probably most likely happen either in Ann Arbor or at the Big Ten championship game because the competition and play that he's going to play. I think when you talk about the Heisman Trophy winner, good stories in that moment follows along with them. And we said this last week about Mac Jones, the year that Devontae Smith won the Heisman in Alabama. He could have easily arguably won it with his stats that he had and the receivers that he had with Waddle and Devontae Smith and I forgot the tight end name, and then Najee Harris at running back. All these guys won the individual awards, national individual awards at their position. And it was like Mac Jones was just a product of good talent around him. And I don't even think I think he got invited to New York, but he didn't even get a first place vote. Mm-hmm. That's the vibe I'm getting with Julian Sayin. As even though he is the front runner right now, I think when it comes down to it, they're going to look for that one moment or that storyline to carry that's going to support those numbers. And you look at, he's going to have an opportunity in Ann Arbor and in the Big Ten championship game. But you look at Ty Simpson, you look at Fernando Mendoza is going to have another opportunity in the Big Ten championship game, most likely versus Ohio State. And then Ty Simpson still has the Iron Bowl to play versus Auburn, which is always a great game, and then the SEC championship game potentially versus number 3 team in the country. You
know what I think is funny is that his dream just gave Indiana bulletin board material because in the dream they're playing Oregon.
It wasn't Indiana. But I think
disrespected Cardale's
dream. I'm sorry, Indiana.
So I want to ask you guys about this. This is fascinating. We are in 9 games in, coming up on week 10 here. Still rotated 4 running backs heavily in that game against Purdue. Still rotating offensive linemen at time. As a fan, as a media member, this seems odd to me that we're in the final 3 games of the season and it feels like we're still figuring out who the guys. From a football standpoint, is this that bizarre to have 3-4 running backs, linemen still rotating in?
It most certainly is, but Cardale hit on something that, I think they're getting guys ready because they know down the stretch they're going to have to need some of those individuals. But 3 or 4 is a stretch at running back.
Don't cut you off, Beanie. It was 1 portal window now. Mm-hmm. Most likely you're going to lose 2. And who's to say when you lose those 2 potentially in December here coming up, they're going to play in the playoffs.
True.
Some potential linemen as well.
Some stick and some don't.
Yeah, so maybe he's trying to appease somebody. I can't see it being a situation to where we lose any of them just because of the fact that obviously we know CJ, he's out of here this year. after the season. So then, Isaiah West, Bo Jackson, those guys, maybe Peoples, but I don't know. But the thing to me, it speaks to is Ohio State still hasn't figured out who's their true quote unquote number one guy at the RB position. Yeah, Bo, he has the most yards and, he makes the most plays on a consistent basis, but I still think they feel like they can get a spark out of some of those other guys, and they're giving them an opportunity to kind of see, okay, are you someone we can count on down the stretch? We're about to go on a skid here that is most certainly going to be the toughest part of the year in the college football playoff and the Big Ten championship. So let's get through this regular season to where we know we can afford to play you guys and still figure it out because we're that talented of a football team.
Yeah, I think they got their guys on both sides of the ball, even at the up front. I think the offensive line group, the 5 guys, has been getting better each and every week and pass and in the run. I think Julian Sayin still haven't been sacked double digits on the season yet. I think less than 6, if I'm not mistaken. But I think this was a game in the next 2 weeks will be games to continue to develop depth and just not so to see who's the guy behind this guy. Can he really go in here, and if this guy comes out with a equipment malfunction, like, can we throw him in the fire? I remember we was playing Alabama. This was 3rd and goal, and Jacoby Bourne get rolled up on, and we got to put his backup in, Chase Ferris. And you think we were about to run a triple reverse or something like that? No, we ran it right behind Chase Ferris, and we got in the end zone. So you can't do that without these type of moments. And, it's one thing practicing good on good and having these type of guys, but it's good to see these guys going against somebody else in a different jersey and putting it all together. So I think it was more of that versus, I don't trust the guys that's in here right now.
Okay, so 2-week stretch here. UCLA at home, Rutgers at home. We know these are going to be 2 easy victories. We're not going to make them better than they are. So what is the goal here as you get ready for that final game that we know is going to be battle up in Ann Arbor?
I think the goal is just to sharpen up your everything that you want to do and want to be as a team. And as an individual player, when I'm going in these situations to where I know it's the team that we're supposed to be, I want to look my best. I want to be hitting on all cylinders, doing everything right the later I get in the year. Some teams maybe want to look fresher, but I don't think that's the situation with Ohio State. I think everybody is looking to be at their best, be at their peak going into the hardest part of the season. Yep. Yeah, these 2 teams that we're playing are quote unquote, teams that we're superior than, but they're trying to knock your block off. They still are trying to ruin your season, and you go in understanding that, and you want to be at your peak to where that's not even going to come close, and you want to look as dominant as you possibly can the later part of your year and let teams know that you're just now starting to hit your stride. So that's the mindset that I would take. That's how I'll be looking at it. I don't know about you.
Yeah, my mindset will definitely be, I think this is a perfect storm for Ohio State, going against 2 lesser opponents, still trying to figure out some things within their program. Even with, UCLA having a head coach that's not an interim head coach, I'm still very confident about Ohio State getting it done. But my mindset will be this. I'm running the ball 35 to 40 times in both of those games because I'm getting ready for I'm not looking ahead, but I'm continuing to sharpen that axe with that running game and knowing who my guys are to get ready to play some smash mouth football up in Ann Arbor. We're not going to see the ball thrown 35, 40 times there. It's not. The weather's going to play a part of that. And then just everything that's always part of that game. I think, for the last 22, 25 years, the team who had the most rushing yards won that game. And I'm not saying Ohio State go into that game and completely change who they are and we see something like, what are you doing? Let's throw the ball around. But at some point in that game, you're going to have to get those tough yards and lean on that running game. I will start sharpening that axe right now while you can afford it with these next 2 weeks of UCLA and Rutgers.
Yeah, I'm thinking different. Sorry, Dave. I'm thinking different going into that game. Because I go back to last year. We tried to play a brand that wasn't us last year. Last year, we were a team that, could hit you over the top, could hit you with the crossing routes. And in that game, I feel like we tried to be, all right, we're going to be this physical football team where we want to run the ball. And it backfired. Because if we would have played our game, we would have wiped the floor with them.
I wouldn't say just going there and trying to play Michigan games, because Michigan is a run team that want to beat you on passes every once in a while. I mean, Bryce Underwood throw the ball on average, I think 19 and 20 times a game, right? I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it's going to come a time where we're going to have to lean on the run game in that game. And I'm not saying coming out 1st and 10, 2nd and 8, I want to run the ball and think I'm going to get those tough yards getting 3rd and short. I'm saying if it's going to be that 3rd and short type of situation, historically this game is always like that in the trenches. I need to feel confident enough to say, hey, I got my guys ready. They got the reps under their belt. I can call this play. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm going in there and everybody wearing neck rolls.
Right.
But I think the weather is going to play a factor in a game where you're not going to be able to throw it 35, 40 times a game.
Okay, something subtle that happened over Ohio State's bye week, and we didn't touch this on the show a couple weeks ago. Did you see where Julian Sayin was directing the marching band? They normally do that during Michigan week. Yeah. And Ryan Day was asked about it, and he kind of sidestepped a little bit, and he said, well, we're just trying to make sure there's no distractions during the season. You say change who we are. That, to me, is kind of the first sign to me that Ryan Day looked at that week and said, we've got to make a tweak because what we've done isn't working. Your guys' thoughts. Am I reading too much into a band moment during a bye week? To me, that's Ryan Day saying, once that week gets here, we aren't playing around with anything outside.
Ooh, that's going to be interesting. I didn't know that happened.
Yeah.
I did not know that happened because that was a tradition that we had. We did it Michigan week. That was a big thing for the band members to come in and be a part of it and somebody on the team to get up there and climb the ladder and be directing. But I'm okay with Ryan Day changing something in the tradition that fits his narrative and fits his team and his moment, especially if we're going to be in a situation to where we're like, oh, we're locked in and we're going to wipe the floor. We're going to whoop their ass. Heck yeah, go and do that. At a certain point in time, I get tradition. I'm a traditionalist. I love it for everything that it's worth. But nonetheless, in this situation, if you have to change something for your own mental sake and your guys' mental sake, do it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, 100%. Sometimes when you see traditions change from programs or things you was a part of, and it sparks, I remember we did that, but you ain't there no more. Right. This is his program. This is his program. If he wanted to say, this is what we want to do, or we want to wear all white for the rest of this is his program. He has the right to do so. And I think with his track record, you don't question anything that he wants to do because for the most part, everything he has done his way has got him the results that, he wanted. So it was a little odd to see that midpoint of the season, but it's his program. He should have the right to do whatever he wants with it.
Yeah. All right. We're just getting started here on the Scripted Podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Coming up next, we're going to look around the world of college football. And there's one game that I think is an elimination game in the Big Ten when it comes to the playoffs. Stay with us. College football not feeling as juicy as it once did. Well, let me put you onto something that'll shake up your Saturday and every other day of the week. Because now that Wendy's has crispy chicken tendies and a powerhouse lineup of new sauces, it's time you transfer to the hottest team in the league.
That's right. Team Tendies. Wendy's Tendies, they're making their undeniable rookie season one for the books. Enjoy first-string flavor from some 5-star recruits. Rep your new favorite team everywhere you go, but make sure you cheer with your mouth closed.
Take it to the end zone of savory sauces like honey barbecue, creamy ranch, and that new Wendy's signature sauce to experience a total taste bud blitz of flavor. It's time to join the team that won't upset you with an upset.
Taste the phenom that's gracing the gridiron with its juicy, crispy, and tendery tendencies. Don't fumble the bag. Commit to Team Tendies and call the most delicious plays in the playbook. All right, huddle up. Tendies on 3. Tendies on 3. 1, 2, 3. Tendies. Let's do this. Wendy's Chicken Tendies now at participating U.S. Wendy's. Support for The Script comes from Google. We hear commentators talk all the time about the spread offense, but what if you don't know exactly what that means or what makes it different from other offensive schemes? Well, you can keep wondering or ask your friends and hope they know what they're talking about, or you can use AI mode on Google search.
You can just type, help me understand what a spread option is and why a football team would choose to run it. Yep. You can ask all those questions in one search, and you'll get an organized and helpful AI-powered response with everything you need to know.
But it doesn't end there. Let's say you want to just keep going deeper. With AI mode, you don't have to start a whole new search. You can ask direct follow-ups like break down how it compares to the pro-style offense based overall philosophy, types of formation, use, and pace.
AI mode is great at these type of comparisons, giving you a side-by-side analysis and helping you get the full story from one question to the next. So if you don't want to just watch the game, but really understand it, you can just ask Google. Welcome back to The Script, the podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. If you're watching on YouTube right now, click subscribe. I swear the video version is the most fun. Or hit us up on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, our friends from Prime Sportsbook had this Prime Rewards program. Win or lose, you earn points to make free bets. And now they have SGPs, which if you don't know what that is, it's a single game parlay. That means you can bet multiple things on the same game. So you could say, I'm taking Ohio State to cover, plus the over, plus a player scores a touchdown. So check that out on Prime Sportsbook. And we're going to give our picks here in a minute. By the way, last week, We went 2-1. Beanie, who had the 1?
Oh, man, I don't know. Who was that guy?
Cardale,
is he here?
Is he in the room with us right now?
I almost didn't come because of that.
All right, so Cardale was red hot. We'll let him have a week off here. We'll get his pick in just a minute. So a few games I want to highlight, though. Notre Dame -12 at Pitt. And the reason I highlight this game, guys, is because if you look at Notre Dame's schedule, this is the last roadblock.
Mm-hmm.
If they win this one, Pitt's pretty good. Currently ranked 24th. The new rankings will be out by the time you hear this podcast. But Pitt's pretty decent team. -12 at Pitt. What do you think?
I take Notre Dame in this situation. Notre Dame is playing football a different way. They're hitting on all cylinders in the run game. CJ Carr is super efficient, and they're consistent on the defensive side of the ball. I do think Pitt is a good team. I don't think they really faced anybody and had a real test. I think Notre Dame will run away with this football game.
Yeah,
They'll make a closer start.
I'm going to take Notre Dame as well, especially when your head coach of the other team, Pat Narduzzi, come out and say this is not an important game for them. He don't care if they lose by 100 points. This gives me the vibes that he is looking big picture awareness, which is the ACC championship game, which they have a chance to represent a side of in that game, and really going to play very cautious of injuries, cautious of keeping guys fresh, and not wanting to show too much. I'm taking Notre Dame.
Okay, how about Alabama at home against Oklahoma? The Crimson Tide favored by 6 points. And the reason I think this is a big game, Oklahoma is 7-2. And when you have a 3 in the loss column, it's not looking good when it comes to making the top 12. So this almost feels like a must-win for Oklahoma.
It is a must-win for Oklahoma, and I'm taking Oklahoma in this football game. And reason being, over the last few weeks, we haven't seen Alabama be able to run the football. They looked decent running the football versus, I want to say it was Mizzou. But then after that, the run game just came falling off. Jam Miller got injured. They haven't been able to consistently put up over 100 yards as a team. And if you can't do that in a big-time SEC matchup, you're not going to win just on the shoulder of Ty Simpson. So I'm taking Oklahoma in this football game.
Woo! I can see that. I think Alabama finds a way to win this game, but I do take Oklahoma with the points. I think this is going to be a close game. You don't want to be one-dimensional playing against Oklahoma because they're one of the best pass rushing teams in all of college football. And we saw the last couple of weeks with Tennessee, and I forgot who they played before that. They can get after the quarterback, and when you have no threat at all to be able to run the ball, which Alabama do not right now. And I think they ended the game with less than 100 yards last week. Another 20 to what? I think they won 20-10 or 20-9.
The game was way too close for comfort.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm taking Oklahoma to cover the points, but I think Alabama finds a way to win the game.
Okay, the game I teased before the commercial break, USC -7 home against Iowa. Now, USC is 7-2. Iowa's 6-3. So to me, this is an absolute knockout game. Now, either one of these teams might need a little chaos, especially Iowa, to get in. But I do think the winner of this, if chaos reigns, and sometimes it does in the last month, is still alive. So what's your guys' take on USC Iowa?
Yeah, I like USC in this matchup. I love that fact that they are able to score points at a high rate. And sometimes after a loss, especially an emotional loss, you feel a little bit drained. I think Iowa may be drained and feeling like they emptied their clip versus Oregon. They gave everything that they had from an offensive standpoint. I don't know that they'll be able to duplicate the game that they had last week versus USC.
Yeah, for sure. I think Iowa will find some success in the run game. I think Iowa front seven is a little bit better than USC's front seven when you're talking about the trenches and the toughness. So I think they'll be able to find some hay there. I mean, you saw last week versus Oregon, which is too good up front to let you continue to run the ball, even though, they was getting 2 yards a pop. And at one point in the time, the longest rush was 9 yards. But guess what? They kept going back to it because of limitations in the pass game. But I think this is definitely a playoff game eliminator for both teams. USC has the best chance to make it to the playoffs. I'm taking them in this game because they still got Oregon down the road. So they run the table. I can see them being a 10-2 Big Ten team getting into the playoffs.
Okay, time now for our picks of the week. I will lead off since I'm the hottest guy on set right now. After 2 months of agony, suddenly I'm red hot. And you know what changed, guys? You got to know your strengths. If you're a running team, you run the ball. I know my NFL, so now I'm red hot. So I'm going to stay in the NFL, and I'm going to go with the 49ers -2.5 at the Cardinals. Jacoby Brissett finally woke up a little bit against Seattle. At some point, Brock Purdy's going to realize he's a football player, and he's going to get on the field again. Maybe it's this week. Give me the Niners -2.5 at the Cardinals.
All right, I like that one. I'm going to take
your Cardinals, Beanie.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Louisville. Aren't they the Cardinals too?
They are.
the Cardinals. Some more Cardinals. I'm going to take Louisville over Clemson -3. I think Louisville, obviously coming off a loss, they'll be uber motivated. I can't believe the line is only 3 points in this football game.
It's at Louisville.
We haven't seen anything from Clemson to say that they can beat a tough team all season long. So I think Louisville gets this one done easily.
Yeah, Dabo's getting a lot of credit there for having, a losing record at this point?
Exactly.
And only giving 3 on the road.
Yeah, which is crazy. I'm going to take the Georgia Bulldogs to cover -6.5 versus Texas at home. I think this is another game for Georgia as they have been hiding in the weeds of not getting much talking to SEC play because they lost Alabama. Alabama's been red hot. A&M is undefeated. They don't play each other. And they're just been waiting in the weeds to continue to build on their resume to get in the College Football playoffs. I got Georgia going out here and making a statement.
Must win for Texas, do we think?
Must win for Texas, for sure. 100%.
Okay, all right. Well, coming up next here on The Script, the podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes, the Michigan Wolverines about to do something they've never done before. We'll tell you what it is coming up.
For Buckeyes and businesses, Branded Bills has you covered. Whether you're showing your scarlet and gray pride or you're building a brand of your own, nothing tops a custom hat.
Branded Bills is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics with licensed Buckeye headgear that looks just as good in the horseshoe as it does when you're walking around Columbus. And beyond game day, they specialize in custom headwear that helps businesses, teams, and communities stand out with premium fit, finish, and style.
So whether you are a diehard Buckeye, an entrepreneur, or just someone who want to rep their story, check out Branded Bills. Explore their official licensed Ohio State collection or design your own custom hat built just for you. Branded Bills for Buckeyes and businesses, licensed pride, custom style.
You know that feeling when your team wins? It's electric. You're pacing the room, texting your group chat, yelling like you called the game-winning play yourself. Now imagine that winning energy hits right as your DoorDash order arrives. Perfect timing. Drinks are cold, pizza's hot, wings and fries perfectly crispy. Now you're not just a fan, you're a winner. DoorDash turns every good college football game day into a great one with game day favorites delivered right to your door right when you need them most. So go ahead, ride that high, celebrate the W. Just try not to spike the remote out of excitement when that food shows up. Your team wins, you win. DoorDash delivers the W in food form. Welcome back to The Script, the podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Hit us up at The Script OSU on all social. Time now for our Dr. Pepper look around the world of college football. And we start in a baseball park where the Michigan Wolverines are going to Wrigley Field to take on Northwestern. So I'm curious, neither of you have ever played a game in Wrigley Field because there's only been a handful. Yeah. Is there a crazy stadium or something that you guys have a dream that you would love to play in or didn't get to see? Oh, you wearing a Dodgers hat? You want to play in Dodger Stadium or something?
No,
what's that?
I do like the Dodgers, though. I can't think of a crazy stadium that I wanted the opportunity to play in that I didn't get a chance to. I played in Kansas City, the Arrowhead there, which was one of the best I've played in. I played in Seattle at their stadium. Man, I don't have one.
You play in Lambeau?
I played in Lambeau, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Actually, I got a chance to do a Lambeau leap, scored the touchdowns preseason, but nonetheless, it happened. No, I don't have one. I don't have one of those outside arenas or stadiums that I wanted to play in.
Yeah, I do. It would have been Wrigley for me. That'd have been pretty cool. I don't think we were doing. Yes, we was. We was doing the bowl game was a Pinstripe Bowl in New York at the Yankee Stadium. I thought that would always be cool. And I remember they only can go one way because of how everything was. That'd have been pretty cool to play in one of those baseball stadiums, see them converted to a football field, or at least to go see a game being played there. And fun fact, had no clue Beanie was a Dodgers fan until they just won. But whatever.
I only wore Dodgers hat all season long.
Let's check the receipt. He bought that 3 weeks ago.
Hey, didn't Ohio State play in the Brown Stadium? Was you there when that happened?
No.
Did that happen not too long ago? Like they played Toledo or something at the Brown Stadium. I could be wrong.
It was
Toledo or Navy or something like that.
I think it was Toledo.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
I want to say it was the Rockets.
It was definitely after I was gone, so I felt like that would have been.
So it was a window one before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder what that was like.
Yeah, you played in the Brown Stadium, right?
Yeah. No, I never played in the Brown Stadium.
Oh, you played the Browns at home?
Yeah, I played them in Arizona.
Okay, that was the day we accused Beanie of point shaving.
Right.
Yeah. That joke was funny before everyone else started actually point shaving. We got to watch those jokes now. All right, let's talk about Luke Fickell. He finally gets that win at home against Washington. The fans that were left there on an ugly weather day rushed the field. I don't know if we want to be rushing the field at home against Washington, but hey, you earned it. They won the game. they gave Fickell a vote of confidence. Sounds like he's going to be sticking around, and they're going to give him a chance to fix this.
Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, the last thing I wanted for Luke Fickell was for him to go out the way he was going out, and that's on a losing record. And because he's a better coach than what's happening with this football team right now. I think a lot of times, especially when you go to a new place, it takes time for you to put your imprint on a program and you to get the right players in there. And we all know at Wisconsin, it's not an easy place to go out and recruit. Obviously, for a long time, they were great in terms of producing offensive linemen and running backs. But in this new age of college football, to where you wanted to kind of spread it out a little bit, get some more athletes in there, it's a little tough to, send kids to Madison, Wisconsin when they got the Columbus, Ohio's, the places down south, the Floridas of those places to actually go to. So I'm glad they're giving him time. And it's great that they got that win versus Washington, because in my opinion, Washington is not a bad football team. So that's a great win for them.
Yeah, I think it's a good win. And I think when you talk about new coaches going into programs, you give them an opportunity, give them a few years to establish their culture, to get the guys they recruited to a point where they can start producing on the football field. And I think he's just been struck down with some bad luck with the quarterback position, all the injuries you have to deal with, and then just all the just really bad circumstances you have to deal with. Because when your punter can be the leading passer in a football game, we're talking about some real issues on the offensive side of the ball. So it's good that they got that win. I think Washington was ranked 24, maybe.
Yeah.
So this is a ranked win for these guys at home. And yes, rush the field. You guys are coming off a 3-4 game losing streak and breaking the losing streak with a ranked win. Rush that field. I wish I was there too. I'd have been, we're going streaking. So yeah.
Let's
Congrats.
continue our Dr. Pepper look around the world of college football. Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss head coach, had some interesting comments. We'll get into two things he said. First off, he said, basically, why in the world is Texas A&M not number one? Now, have you guys seen this new show called Pluribus on Apple Plus?
I just started it.
Okay, it's fantastic. It's by the maker of Breaking Bad, Vince Gilligan, and the concept of the show is that everyone in the world has the same brain, basically. This is what it's like in the SEC. They all have pluribus brain.
Right.
Because every one of these guys want to talk about hypothetical games, and they win every championship on paper. It's wild. Like, these SEC guys, to me, they're like cable news pundits, where it's like, we got the marching orders and the talking points, and we're going to pound them in your head. So what do you guys think about Lane Kiffin saying, well, why in the world would Texas A&M not be number one?
Yeah, I think it's baloney. I mean, obviously, we were watching the number one team in Ohio State. They come off a national championship. 2, you go and play who you're scheduled to play. And everybody at the beginning of the year thought Texas was the number one football team, right? They went out and dominated that game. Yeah, the point score wasn't an indication of a dominant performance, but when you watch the game, that Ohio State dominated that game. And then everybody else that they went and played against, they went out and slowly, methodically dominated those games in every phases. They're the number one team in the country. And then Indiana, in my opinion, is unquestioned number 2 team because of how they've been playing. So, yeah, I get you wanting to put on for your conference, this, that, and the third. But come on, man. I honestly still see Texas A&M potentially losing one before we get to the college football playoff.
Well, it's so funny with that, too, because Lane loved to point to the win against Notre Dame for Texas A&M, which was, look, not a dominant win. That was a coin toss game. I know you feel strongly.
They should have lost.
I know you feel strongly about that one. But what's so funny is Notre Dame is that team that everyone hates on, they're not that good, until you need them as a quality win. Then we beat Notre Dame,
Yeah, it's weird that Lane Kiffin was saying. I mean, no, it's not. I mean, you look at the things he's saying in the media all the time. I mean, I get where he's coming from. I don't think Ohio State strength of schedule is that impressive.
No, it's not.
I do not think.
We can objectively say that on this show. They've not had
schedule.
Yes,
it's not impressive.
Yeah.
But the wins and the things they had to do to their opponents, they've done them. They didn't beat Purdue 17-20. They did not beat who else they played. I don't even know who else they freaking played. They had a tough win versus Texas at home, right? And then everyone else they played, we were superior to better athletes on our side of the football, but we went out there and showed them. It wasn't like, man, you guys are so much better than this team. You guys beat them by only 2 scores. No. We completely dominated everybody they played against.
Yeah, and this is what's good about the college football playoff, because I think Ohio State would still be undefeated on Texas A&M's schedule, and 100%. I think Texas A&M would be undefeated on Ohio State's schedule as of now.
100%, but I would argue if Texas A&M was to play Texas this week, even though we can see them in 2 weeks, I think they're going to lose versus Texas.
Yep.
Texas A&M, at least Texas was able to challenge Ohio State. At least in some form or some fashion, I think Illinois was able to give Ohio State a challenge when you're talking about trying to get some points up on those guys. They was only giving up 5 points a game at that point. And then going into tough environments like Washington, where Washington challenged Ohio State in the beginning of the game. I don't think A&M has been challenged outside of the game versus Notre Dame. And granted to them, they pulled off that win. But this Week 12 for both teams will be their biggest challenge. Ohio State, Michigan, Texas A&M, and Texas will be their biggest challenge, and see who really should have been the number one team. But at the end of the day, I don't understand why we argue about who the number one team or who is the top 4 team, especially in these major conferences. Win your conference.
Yeah.
Win your conference, you're going to be a top seed, and you're going to get everything that the number one seed is going to get. You're going to get everything that's number 2, you're going to get that bye. So
yeah. Okay, let's talk about, was it Joey Galloway we want to bring up here?
Oh, man.
I mean, he's one of ours. Now, when I talk like Buckeyes of my youth, I mean, who are my favorite players growing up? Joey Galloway is probably like the first Buckeye that I think I was like 10 years old when he was playing. I'm like, that's my guy.
Yeah.
Joey, we love you, but not right now. Not right now. So explain here what the beef is with Joey Galloway.
Joey, man. No, it's fine. I love Joey. Joey is a guy that in my time at Ohio State see him still running a 4.4 at 40 plus years old and still training. Joey hosts some of the best Muirfield parties that you can have down there at the memorial and things like that.
My invitation was lost in the mail.
And Joey has been killing, and one of the guys I've looked up to in the media space, not just because of Buckeye, just the way he handles himself and being non-controversial. But I think this is a little controversial, Joey. He made a comment, with Tim and Kurt Herbstreit was, I think, on a podcast, that the ACC is more comparable, that the Big Ten is more comparable to the ACC than the SEC. I'm going to have to completely disagree with you on that one. You talk about all the turmoil in the that's going on right now with the ACC, with 2 of the top favorite teams to play for the championship both lost last week.
Yeah.
You talk about a team like Clemson, who was supposed to be a national championship contending team, have lost. We're talking about Miami, who was supposed to be a national championship contending team. I think they're out of the top 15 rankings right now. You said they're comparable to the Big Ten? Not a chance. No team in the SEC, ACC can come in and even give a competition to Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana. I would even put USC up there.
And
Iowa as well. Michigan, I think will go and just run through the ACC.
Yeah, I think USC
with having a down year right now.
USC, Iowa, and Michigan, I think all 3 of those would at least make it to the ACC title game. They'd be playing for the title.
100%. And it's crazy that I think Michigan only dropped 2 games to this point of the season. And we're talking about a down year for these guys. We're talking about multiple 2-game losers in the ACC right now who's fighting for an ACC championship berth.
Right.
What are we talking about? Yeah. Not even close.
Yeah, it was shocking to hear Joey say that. And, I couldn't believe it. I'm glad Herbie actually got his mind right, got Joey's mind right. It was like, oh, come on, man. What are you doing? I mean, the Big Ten is much closer to the SEC. And I believe that wholeheartedly. I mean, you compare our mid-range teams in the Big Ten and even some of our bottom feeders to the mid-range teams in the SEC, and they go head-to-head. When you just mentioned in the ACC, it's not even close. It's not even close. Even the Big 12 is not even close. I mean, so, I can't understand why he would do that outside of for maybe the ratings, Joey.
Maybe for this.
You wanted some discussion going on there across the board.
Maybe for this right here to get us talking about this in a fashion that we are.
He's going to try to get us to get the big couch out here on 4-shot. That's what Joey wants.
Joey,
you're trying to play your way onto the script.
Exactly. Come on.
Joey, you're an open invite to come on the script anytime you want. Okay, let's talk about Indiana's win at Penn State. We touched on Fernando Mendoza earlier in the show. This idea, Beanie, that they were challenged and won a game on a final drive. So did we see, let me say this, are you encouraged by the fact that Indiana won a tough game, or are you discouraged by the fact that it was that close against a dead Penn State team?
I'm actually encouraged because one of the things we cannot forget, Penn State is still Penn State. Yes, things have kind of fallen off at times, but they still have top-tier superior talent.
A lot of stars.
They still got great coaches. So in any given moment, they could all of a sudden turn it on. And in that football game versus Indiana, they were able to turn it on and be in that game. And Penn State's not a bad football team all in all. They had some crazy things happen this season, but nonetheless, I still think they're a quality team in terms of talent. So, in my opinion, I'm encouraged by the fact that Indiana was able to win that football game because it shows that they can win ugly. Fernando Mendoza, for the most part of that game, was awful. Mm-hmm. They were able to still be in that game because of their defense, clamping down when need be on Penn State. And then that final drive, I said it on Twitter that I thought it was a Heisman moment for Fernando Mendoza. And I'm still bagging it up. I think that was a Heisman moment. And Buckeye fans killed me on Twitter. I've never been killed like this on Twitter versus Buckeye from Buckeye fans. But nonetheless, the ability to be able to stand in the pocket, you guys get sacked, and you're initially about to drive 80 yards downfield, and you have to go 87 because you push back, and to be able to do it with throwing some of the great, or having two of the greatest catches that we've seen in college football this season on that drive. That was a Heisman moment, to be able to come back, your back is against the wall, everybody's writing you off in that football game, not thinking that you're going to be able to go down the field and do it, and you do it. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, it was versus a 3-5 football team, but I don't care. Penn State is still Penn State, and playing in Happy Valley is still a tough place to play.
You know what I love is when you said I've never been killed on Twitter before, Cardale's smile was like, "Oh, young gun, let me tell you how it goes.
Let me tell you how to fire back." No, that's so funny. But yeah, it's encouraging me to see Indiana going into a dogfight and come out with a victory, because we talked about teams getting into their conference championship games or their rivalry weeks and not being battle tested. Well, that was a battle testing type of game for them. It's not always good to go out here and dominate your opponents, because then you find yourself in a dogfight, you get punched in the mouth, you taste a little blood. I want to know how my guys are going to respond before we get in that situation. Now, this is no shot versus to no other team around the country who've been looking like they've been just trailing and cruising their way through their conference right now. But it's always good to know that my guys are battle tested when we get to this point, because at this point, when you're going to play your best football, there's going to be so much football out there on you that the scouting is going to be better, the game plan is going to be better, and they're going to be a little bit more prepared for what you like to do and start taking away some of those things. And how you're going to respond to those things are going to be key. But when you talk about a Heisman moment for Fernando Mendoza, I do agree with you. You talk about moments where guys raise their play at the most critical time. Those are Heisman moments, and he did that. And it's so funny watching that last drive of the game, and as they trying to go out here and steal the game, and having a little deja vu. I actually wasn't watching the game. I was just caught the score on the phone. I'm like, oh yeah, Penn State about to beat Indiana. I'm like, what's new? I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. Penn State about to beat Indiana? So I had to hurry up and find what the show was on. And then, watching that last few plays I got to see. But yeah, I think it was a great win for Indiana, because the way they had to win the game overall, just the total points.
Indiana's first win ever in Happy Valley. All right, that brings us to our Buckeye Basement Solution. So for those of you who don't know, Buckeye Basement Solution is the best in the business when it comes to helping you with crack repair, waterproofing, whatever you need. And we try to have our own solution and diagnose something on the show each week. So last week, Cardale kind of went on a mini rant about awards season that I found interesting. And I want to ask you guys, what's our Buckeye Basement solution on fixing the Heisman Trophy? Should you wait until after the entire season's over because the votes come in at different times? Should it only be players? Should it be media? Should it be coaches? What is the Buckeye Basement solution to make the Heisman Trophy as fair as possible?
I think it's waiting until the entire season is over. I want to see people go down the stretch. Well, I wouldn't say the entire season over until we get to like the midpoint of
I would say
the college football playoff. Yeah, the Final Four for sure. Because waiting all the way into the national championship is a little long, and sometimes people do get recency bias, and I'm human. Sometimes it happens to me, and I don't want that to be an indicator on who wins the Heisman Trophy.
You tell me the guy wearing the LA Dodgers hat is guilty of recency bias?
Gosh.
I mean, that 2-week-old hat.
Yeah,
2-week-old hat.
Hey, Beanie, the sticker's still on the side. Take it off.
Go back and watch the shows. People, I've had them in several different colors.
All right. He's always been a Dodgers fan. Always been a Dodgers. Yeah.
No, but I definitely think they should wait a little bit longer, because I want to see more of a sample size and meaningful games for your best players. Your best players are supposed to step up in the biggest moments. I want an opportunity to see that.
I think it should at least wait until, and I get why you get through 12 games, because a best player on the team can not be on a good team and only going to be guaranteed to play 12 games. But I think you should get through at least the first week of bowl games or the first week of playoffs. That's guaranteed, where if I have a player at Toledo, who's probably not going to make a high bowl game, but they're 7 and whatever, and he got crazy numbers in the Heisman race. Well, at least we know he's going to play in an early bowl game, so everybody's going to have that game under their belt. So the top dogs are going to have that conference championship game, right? And they'll probably be off into a big bowl game. Who's playing on a Heisman Trophy teams, or Heisman Trophy candidate playing on a good team, and then that person who's not playing on a great team, but who's got crazy stats and playing some great ball, he's going to most likely play in an early bowl game. So you give them both 13 games to play and to see and to then vote on who's the Heisman Trophy winner. I think that's the fairest way to do it, because if you don't do it that way, you get a scenario in that situation where you waiting 3 more games and that player on a good team who has 3 more games of stats to put under their belts, it kind of don't weigh it out evenly.
Yeah, all right. Well, our Buckeye basement solution is definitely to wait a little bit longer. Do you guys care who votes, by the way? Players, coaches? I mean, do you have a vibe on that? Are you both going to be pro-player on this?
I do. I definitely think the players should have a say in this. The coaches should definitely have a say. And I think the media vote shouldn't be as much. If it should be, let's say, 30% player, maybe 50% coaches, and maybe 20% media.
And by the way, I'm not going to defend this, but as a media member, I actually think the media should matter the least when it comes to voting.
100%.
I agree 100%. I mean, there's so many times to where media is voting, and they're voting based off of who their favorite team may be.
100%.
And then sometimes it may be a situation where they don't even pay attention to what's actually going on the field. They just look at stat sheets. Like, I do not believe their vote should be weighted as much in this
for sure. Kurt Cinetti said it the best a few weeks ago, where you talking about I think it was Kurt Cinetti, you talking about the bias of the different media markets, right?
Yes.
If this is the ESPN market, we're going to push the SEC because that's where our contract is. This is a NBC market, we're going to push the teams that we cover, and vice versa. So when you have those media people from the ACC markets or the ESPN markets, clearly they're exposed to more of the SEC players. Right. So you may have a Ty Simpson up there and a Marcel Reed up there in Heisman votings, and I'm well, I seen this guy play and this and that. Oh, well, Julian, this. I didn't. So it's some biasy there. So I do think they should have a vote, but I think it should be the less as possible.
And just like that, we fixed the Heisman Trophy. You're welcome. You're welcome, guys. By the way, if you have any issue with your home or you want to prevent an issue, make sure you hit up our guys from Buckeye Basement Solutions, 614-956-4592. That'll do it for us on this week's edition of The Script, the podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Click subscribe right now on the video version. We're having so much fun. We'll get to see Beanie's Dodgers hat. Who else? What else we're gonna try to think? Who wins the Super Bowl this year? What can we get?
Oh man, shit, I don't even dive too much into that.
Who's hot?
Come on, man.
Who's hot? We got to get him some more front running.
I do love to end the Guardians too.
Okay.
So
He's a big Guardians guy. All right, we're gonna have another episode of The Script coming up next week. We'll see you then.